I'm now joined by the men behind Exploring Planet Football, host Grant Wall, director Lee Feiner. And first of all, congratulations, guys, because I'm sure it's been a long journey, both figuratively and literally.
Thanks.
Yeah, around the entire globe where this game is played. How did you, because it is played so many places, how did you decide where you were going to tell stories? Because we know the episode on Germany's out today, and then it's Japan and Argentina.
Well, for one thing, soccer is everywhere. And so there's plenty of choices you can make. We wanted to have some diversity of continents and things like that, but this is half travel show, half soccer show. And so we wanted to pick places that had an interesting soccer culture, but also had some really cool visuals, because part of the idea, I think, is for people to watch this and say, I want to go there.
Yeah, we wanted to kind of test ourselves to go places and get outside of the main city where the game is played and talked about. When we went to Iceland, for example, there have been stories coming out left and right about Iceland and their growth in the sport. It's a country of 350,000 people. To qualify for the World Cup, the smallest country by pretty much a factor of 10. We wanted to go to Reykjavik, obviously, but that's where everybody had gone. And we decided we're going to challenge ourselves. We're going to drive around the country. And it's one of those places where you get a little bit outside the city and you're on the surface of the moon within 20 minutes. So we sort of took that as a lesson when we shot the pilot last year before the World Cup to say, hey, let's challenge ourselves. Let's get out of the main cities. We need to actually bring the viewer on the trip with us, which isn't as simple as it sounds. If we're driving around Germany, for example, we need to stop between Frankfurt and Munich. And on the way, you realize just how sort of global the game is. I mean, it sounds trivial, but when we go stop, that's what we talk about. That's the conversations Grant starts to have with people. And it makes the show come together pretty easily, actually.
You talk about Germany. That's really a hotbed for U.S. soccer now. I mean, you got Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie. Why is that the case, and is that a good thing for U.S. soccer?
Well, I think Germany has become this land of opportunity for young Americans who are really rising in the sport, and not just Americans, actually, for players from all over the world, because it used to be England, but there's so much money in the Premier League now that what you have is guys in their maybe mid-20s who have been bought from other countries for huge sums of money, but Germany allows players in their teens and early 20s the chance to get playing time and really prove themselves on a big stage. And then they go to the Premier League, like Christian Pulisic will be next season for Chelsea. So we wanted to see these young Americans, and they are very young. Pulisic, McKennie, Tyler Adams, they're all 20 years old. They're all great interviews. And they really let us have a good amount of time with them away from their clubs. And that's a pretty rare bit of access to get in their car with them and drive somewhere and spend the afternoon somewhere talking to them about what their German experience has been like.
Right, and that was important to me too, is they are 20 years old. And I think the thing people sort of forget, soccer fans tend to forget, is yes, it seems like a logical choice now because Germany is this land of opportunity where young, skilled players can get an opportunity to develop. But you're still a young kid from Pennsylvania or Texas or New Jersey, and you have to go learn to speak the language. You're dropped into an environment where nobody's really, you have all the support in the world, but you have to either sink or swim. And it's not just learning how to play soccer at a high level and going to play for a huge club. It's learning how to speak the language, learning how to adapt and be German, not just be an American abroad. And that's something that we really got into with all these guys. And I think people will really be interested to hear how everybody was able to adapt.
Grant, you've been covering this sport for a long time at the highest level. What did you learn doing this show that you didn't know before?
What's so cool about soccer is because it's so global, you can go to any country, and yes, soccer is universal, but every country's going to have their own spin on it. And so I've been to a lot of countries in my career to cover soccer, but you always see something new. And so there is something that's very Argentine about the way that Argentines approach soccer. I talk about how, for me at least, I think there's more people that I would call genius, and I'm pretty stringent with my use of the word genius, but more people who I call genius coming out of Argentine soccer than any other country. Now, they haven't won everything, but I think there's something very specific about their culture that I wanted to get at in the interviews down there about why that was the case. In terms of of Germany, we really got a U.S. flavor in Germany, but the reactions of the Americans to what German soccer culture is like, I do think soccer is a great way to learn about a culture and to connect with it. And so I've really enjoyed these trips.
I think that's about a perfect summary, Grant Wall. Lee Feiner, appreciate your time. The series is called Exploring Planet Football. The episode on Germany is out today. Get it on SI.TV, the SITV app, the SITV Amazon channel, or just Google SITV.